Welcome to the deep dive. If you're looking for, well, let's call it an operating system upgrade for your life, especially if you're part of that rising generation, students, young people, you've definitely come to the right place today.
Yeah. Today, we're not just, flipping through a book. We're really trying to extract a blueprint, something universal, progressive, and importantly, optimistic for building achievement.
Exactly. We've taken Shiv Khera's foundational text, You Can Win, and we've sort of curated its core ideas specifically for shaping a thriving future, one that's ethical, successful.
And built on solid ground. We want to get past the shiny objects, the superficial stuff, and really look at the architecture of character itself.
And right off the bat, the book hits you with this core idea that just reframes the whole conversation about success. It's not about some secret formula or, being in the right place at the right time.
The central quote. It's so simple but profound.
It is. Winners don't do different things. They do things differently. That just lands, doesn't it? It's saying the tools are there. It's about how you use them. Effective application.
It totally puts the power back in your hands, doesn't it? The listener's hands. It suggests that, look, the resources are generally available. What makes the difference is the method, the mindset. It turns success from like a lottery ticket into something more like a science.
Yeah, predictable even.
Yeah.
So as we go through this deep dive, we really want you, the listener, to be actively thinking about your own path. Khera insists, and I think this is crucial, that you need to define 3 things up front.
The prerequisites, yeah, they're vital.
First, what you want to achieve, and be specific, right? Not just be successful. Second, how you expect to achieve it. That's your strategy, your plan.
And third, when you plan to achieve it. That deadline, that timeline, it creates accountability. It makes it real.
Exactly. Once you have that structure, the what, the how, the when you shift, you go from being a passive dreamer, maybe just hoping things work out, to being an active builder of your own reality.
And it's important to remember, this journey, it's not going to be a straight line. There will be bumps. Edwin C. Bliss put it perfectly. Success doesn't mean the absence of failures. It means the attainment of ultimate objectives. It means winning the war, not every battle.
Oh, that's such a relief to hear, honestly, especially for students, young people feeling that immense pressure to be perfect, to never slip up.
Right.
A setback isn't the end of the world. It's just data, information for the next step. And the book argues quite strongly that most failures aren't down to a lack of talent or smarts.
No, it's usually something more fundamental. It's the lack of those core drivers. Desire, direction, dedication, and discipline.
And that's what we're here to dig into today, how to cultivate those 4 pillars. Let's get started.
Okay, so let's start with arguably the most critical piece of this whole toolkit, the inner core, what Khera calls attitude. He uses that fantastic balloon analogy to set it up.
I love that one, the seller at the fair, right? And the little boy.
That's the one. The boy sees balloons of all different colors flying, and he asks the seller, will the black one fly too?
And the seller's response is just perfect. It captures so much.
It really does. He says, son, it is not the color of the balloon. It is what is inside that makes it go up.
Boom, right there. We get so obsessed with the color, don't we? Our background, the fancy school, the job title, the followers, all that external stuff.
Exactly, all that packaging. But none of it dictates whether you actually, rise. The thing inside of us that determines our altitude, our potential, regardless of the wrapper. That's our attitude.
It's so relevant today with social media constantly pushing external validation. This reminds us that the real engine is internal.
And look, this isn't just some nice idea, some motivational poster slogan. It's grounded in psychology. Khera quotes William James, often called the father of American psychology.
A giant in the field. What did James say?
He made this incredibly bold statement, revolutionary for its time. The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind.
Wow, think about that. You can alter your life by altering your mindset, that choice, that agency. It changes everything. You're essentially choosing your life's trajectory.
Precisely. And this ability to choose, this internal power, leads directly to Khera's concept of TQP, total quality people.
TQP, okay, break that down.
It's the benchmark, really, for the kind of person who can build a progressive future. TQP individuals are defined by, well, character, integrity, solid values, and crucially, that positive, constructive attitude. This isn't an optional extra. It's the absolute foundation before you even talk about specialized skills, whether it's in AI, medicine, art, whatever.
I think that's such a vital point, especially for listeners heading into competitive fields. We see so many corporate training programs, right? They cost a fortune, but often they don't stick. Why is that?
because they often focus on the form over the substance. They teach you the script for customer service, the perfect handshake, how to make your slides look slick.
Right, the external polish.
Exactly. But they ignore the person delivering it. Take customer service. You can train someone to smile on cue, but if their underlying attitude is negative or resentful, that forced smile isn't just useless, it's actually irritating. You feel the fakeness.
Yeah, it's counterproductive. It makes you trust them less.
Totally. Substance has to come before form. It reminds me of that quote by Blaise Pascal. Someone apparently told him they wish they had his brain so they could be a better person.
Oh, interesting. What did Pascal say?
He flipped it. He basically said, be a better person and you will have my brains. Build the character first. The intellectual capacity, the good judgment, often follows from that solid ethical and mental foundation.
That's powerful. Build the person, then the skills. And the numbers back this up, don't they? There's that Harvard study mentioned.
Oh, the ROI on attitude. It's staggering. The study found that attitude accounts for a massive 85% of job success. 85%.
That's huge. What about the rest?
Facts, figures, technical skills, the stuff we often spend years in university mastering that only accounts for the remaining 15%.
So if you're listening, planning your career, maybe stressing about grades or specific technical certifications, that 85% figure should make you pause and think, shouldn't it?
It absolutely should. It suggests your most valuable investment isn't necessarily another course, but time spent on self-reflection, building resilience, cultivating optimism, seeking out mentors who embody good character. That's where the real leverage is for long-term success and leadership.
That perspective ties in perfectly with the Acres of Diamonds story. Can you walk us through that one? It's such a classic.
It really is. It's the story of Hafiz, this farmer in Africa who's, doing okay, but he got consumed by this idea that true wealth, diamonds, must be somewhere else. He heard stories.
Got restless. The grass is always greener idea.
Exactly. So he sells his farm, a really fertile piece of land, mind you, takes the money, and spends the rest of his life wandering the continent, searching fruitlessly for diamonds, and eventually he dies broke and disillusioned.
Oh, man. But the twist!
The twist is heartbreakingly ironic. The person who bought Hafiz's farm. One day, he notices a funny-looking rock in the stream running through the property. Turns out, it's a huge diamond. And that farm. It becomes the site of one of the richest diamond mines the world had ever seen. The diamonds were right there, under Hafiz's feet, all along.
Unbelievable, just sitting there. What are the lessons we should pull from that today? Especially for young people navigating all the options and the constant pressure of FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Khera pulls out 5 key morals, and they are incredibly relevant, maybe more so now than ever. First, when our attitude is right, we realize that we are all walking on acres and acres of diamonds. Opportunity isn't just out there in some famous city or industry. It's often inherent in your current situation, your skills, your community.
You just need the eyes to see it. Okay, what's the second?
Second, opportunity is always under our feet. We don't have to go anywhere. Think about the digital age, remote work, local needs. You don't always have to chase the distant, glamorous thing. The real need might be right where you are.
That really counters the narrative that you have to move to X city to be successful. What's third?
Third, the one you mentioned. The grass on the other side always looks greener. This is the comparison trap, right?
Yeah.
Especially with social media showing everyone's highlight reel. It breeds dissatisfaction with our own acres.
Definitely a modern struggle. Number 4.
Fourth, when people don't know how to recognize opportunity, they complain of noise when it knocks. We expect opportunity to arrive with a marching band, a huge announcement. But often it's a quiet knock, a small project, a chance conversation, a consistent daily effort that leads somewhere unexpected. We dismiss it as noise.
So we need to tune our ears differently. And the 5th.
The 5th carries a sense of urgency. The same opportunity never knocks twice. Now, it doesn't mean other opportunities won't come. You might get better ones, you might get different ones, but that specific combination of circumstances, timing, resources, it's unique. It passes. This isn't meant to create panic, but to encourage, mindful action instead of procrastination.
Don't wait for the perfect moment that might never come. Act on the opportunities you see now. It all comes back to perception, doesn't it? Like the David and Goliath story.
Exactly. Same giant, totally different perceptions. The experienced soldiers looked at Goliath and thought, he's huge. He's too big to possibly hit.
Their perception created paralysis.
Right. But David, coming in with a different attitude, maybe a naive one, but certainly a positive one, looked at the same giant and thought,
No, he is not too big to hit. He is too big to miss. He reframed the problem into an advantage.
that's the power. That's what a progressive, positive attitude does. It doesn't change the external reality. The giant is still the giant, but it changes your relationship to that reality. It turns setbacks, challenges, giants into stepping stones. A negative attitude turns those exact same things into stumbling blocks. The situation itself is neutral. Your attitude gives it meaning.
So how is this critical lens, our attitude, actually formed? The book mentions the triple E's.
Yes, the triple E's: environment, experience, and education. Now, obviously, we can't easily change past experiences, although we can change how we interpret them. But we do have significant influence over our current and future environment and education.
Let's talk about environment first. That seems crucial, especially today where environment is both physical and digital.
Absolutely. Kara makes a really strong point. Culture, whether in a family, a school, a company, or even a country, is always top-down. The leadership, formal or informal, sets the tone. Their attitudes, their values, they permeate the entire system.
That sounds like a big responsibility, but also an opportunity, particularly for the generation listening who will become leaders.
It's a massive opportunity and a mandate. The text puts it starkly: in a corrupt environment, an honest person has a tough time, whereas in an honest environment, the corrupt one has a tough time.
Simple but powerful. It means if you want things like integrity, collaboration, and optimism to be the norm, to be easy, you have to consciously build environments where that's the case.
Yes. In your friend group, your study group, your future workplace, your community projects, you have to intentionally cultivate spaces where positive behavior is expected and reinforced, and where cynicism and negativity find it hard to take root.
So it's not just about managing your own attitude, but actively contributing to the attitudinal climate around you.
Exactly. It means choosing your inputs carefully. Mentors who uplift, media that informs rather than just inflames, peers who challenge you to grow, not just complain. We're co-creators of our environment's quality.
Okay, so we've covered environment and experience shaping attitude. Let's pivot to that third E, education. This is obviously front and center for many of our listeners, especially students.
Right, and we live in this age of information overload, don't we? Anything you want to know is theoretically a click away. But Kara highlights this paradox.
The irony of the modern age.
Yeah. We are drowning in information but starving for knowledge and wisdom. We have endless data, but are we any better at understanding it, applying it ethically, using it to live better lives?
That's a critical question. So what does true education look like, according to this framework?
It has to do more than just teach skills. Kara insists it must teach not only how to make a living, but also how to live. There's a difference between educating the head, technical skills, facts, and educating the heart, values, character, ethical reasoning. We need both.
And the danger of separating them, of focusing only on the head part.
It's profound. There's that chilling quote in the book: an uneducated thief may steal from the freight car, but an educated one may steal the entire railroad.
Oof. Yeah, that paints a picture. Education without a moral compass just makes someone more efficient at doing harm, potentially on a much larger scale.
Exactly. It's not a theoretical risk.
Yeah.
The book mentions Stephen Muller, the former president of Johns Hopkins University, who was very blunt about this.
What did he say?
He said essentially that universities are turning out highly skilled barbarians because we don't provide a framework of values to young people. We're creating technical wizards who might lack the ethical literacy to use their skills responsibly.
Skilled barbarians. That's a wake-up call. It implies that moral education, educating the heart, needs to be just as rigorous, just as central as academic education.
It has to be. So if a fancy degree doesn't automatically make you educated in this deeper sense, what does? Kara points us towards Socrates.
Socrates' definition. Okay, let's hear it.
According to Socrates, the truly educated person is someone who manages well the circumstances which they encounter day by day, and those who can judge situations appropriately as they arise and rarely miss the suitable course of action.
So it's about practical wisdom, judgment, navigating life effectively, not just theoretical knowledge.
Precisely. It's about real-world application. And Socrates adds more layers. The educated person is honorable in their dealings with all men. They can hold their pleasures always under control. And this is important. They are not spoiled by their successes.
Wow, that's a high bar. Honorable, disciplined, humble even in success, and making wise, courageous choices consistently. That sounds like a definition for a truly dignified life, for progressive leadership.
It is. It's a holistic view. And this idea that formal education isn't the whole story is driven home by the hot dog stand story.
Ah, yes, the illiterate vendor and his educated son. Tell us that one.
Okay, so you have this man, can't read or write, but he runs a hugely successful hot dog stand. He's passionate, uses the best ingredients, advertises enthusiastically, people love his stuff, business is booming.
Sounds like he had the right attitude and work ethic.
Totally. Then his son comes home from college, full of economic theory. The son hears about a possible recession looming and tells his father, "Dad, you need to cut back. Times are going to get tough. Stop ordering so much meat. Cut the advertising budget."
Oh, no. And the father listens.
He does. He figures his educated son must know better. So he cuts his orders, takes down his signs, loses his enthusiasm, and guess what happens?
His sales plummet.
Exactly. His business tanks. The son then says, "See, Dad, I told you there was a recession coming."
But the son caused the recession in their business. His knowledge led to terrible judgment.
Precisely. The irony is thick. The story highlights that formal schooling doesn't guarantee success. What often matters more are Khera's 5 C's for success.
Okay, what are the 5 C's?
Character, commitment, conviction, courtesy, and courage. Think about them. Character, your moral core. Commitment, sticking with it. Conviction, believing deeply in what you're doing. Courtesy, basic respect for others, and courage, acting despite fear.
Those feel much more fundamental than just having a degree.
They are. As Khera puts it, ability without the right attitude is wasted. You can have all the talent in the world, but without these C's, especially character and commitment, it likely won't lead to sustainable, meaningful success.
And this isn't a get the C's and you're done kind of thing, is it? There's that woodcutter story.
The sharpening the axe analogy. Crucial point. You have 2 woodcutters, John and Bill. John works incredibly hard, nonstop, longer hours, really sweats. Bill seems to take breaks, works fewer hours, but cuts more wood.
How? What was Bill doing?
John finally asks him, frustrated. Bill explains, "Well, after cutting down each tree, I take a couple of minutes to sharpen my axe." John was just bashing away with a progressively duller tool.
So the lesson isn't just work harder, it's work smarter. Continuously reinvest in your tools, your skills, your mindset.
Exactly. Your past achievements, your degree from 5 years ago, that big project you nailed last year, that's great, but it's not enough. Khera says the most important thing one can learn is to learn to learn. We have to keep sharpening the axe. That means continuous learning, self-reflection, taking time for mental and physical renewal. If you stop sharpening, you stop being effective, no matter how hard you swing.
That ties back to the idea of knowledge being potential power, right?
Yes, knowledge is just information sitting there. It's potential power. It only becomes real power, actual wisdom, when you act on it. When you apply it ethically and effectively to solve problems, to create value, to live better. We need to move from just collecting information to actually digesting, integrating, and using it.
Okay, so continuous learning, acting on knowledge. What about the internal engine? Self-esteem comes up here.
Massively important. High self-esteem isn't about being arrogant or cocky. It's that deep, quiet belief in your own worth and capabilities. It's fundamental for good performance, healthy relationships, and bouncing back from failures.
There's a story about that, isn't there? The beggar selling pencils.
Yes, a powerful one. A young executive habitually tosses a coin to a beggar selling pencils. One day, he stops, buys a box of pencils, but then turns back and says something like, "After all, you are a business person and so am I. Here's the payment for the pencils." He treated the beggar with dignity, as an equal.
How did that affect the beggar?
Months later, the executive encounters the same man, but now he's neatly dressed, standing behind a small, thriving stall. The man recognizes the executive and says that single interaction, being treated as a businessman, restored his dignity and gave him the belief to actually become one. It changed his whole trajectory.
Wow. The power of seeing potential in someone and affirming their worth. But the book also warns about self-imposed limits, right? The pumpkin story.
Ah, the pumpkin analogy.
Yeah.
So vivid. If you put a tiny pumpkin inside a glass jar while it's still growing on the vine, what happens?
It grows, but only fills the shape and size of the jar. It can't get any bigger.
Exactly. And Khera says, human beings cannot perform beyond the boundaries of their self-concept. If you fundamentally believe deep down that you're only capable of small jar achievements, you'll subconsciously limit yourself, maybe even sabotage opportunities, to stay within that familiar, confined space.
So expanding our self-concept is key to unlocking potential. How do we do that? the book suggests giving.
Yes, surprisingly, giving is presented as a powerful and fast way to build genuine self-esteem. Khera tells of teaching attitude classes in jails. Someone asked him why he did it for free. He reflected and found his selfish reason.
Which was?
I want to make this world a better place to live. By contributing, by giving value to others without expecting something immediately back, you reinforce your own sense of worth, capability, and connection. It demonstrates to yourself that you can make a difference.
That makes sense. Giving empowers the giver. But just as we build ourselves up, we also need to protect ourselves, right, from negative influences.
Absolutely critical. You have to actively guard your mindset. This means consciously avoiding what Khera calls energy suckers.
Energy suckers. Who are they?
You know them. The chronic critics, the constant complainers, the gossips, the cynics who seem to drain the positivity out of any room. They pull you down, poison your outlook, sap your motivation.
So curating your social environment is key.
It is, and it's a mark of character. There's that saying, a person's character is not only judged by the company he or she keeps, but also by the company he or she avoids. For young people especially, this means developing the courage to distance yourself from negative peer pressure, from environments that promote substance abuse, or from relentlessly negative media that just breeds anxiety and hopelessness. Protecting your focus and energy isn't selfish. It's essential for having anything positive to contribute. Okay, we've laid the groundwork. Attitude, the right kind of education, building that internal drive. Now let's talk about the goal itself. What does success or victory actually look like in this progressive framework?
Yeah, success can be such a loaded term. How does Khera define it? He used Earl Nightingale's definition, right?
He does, and it's incredibly precise and valuable. Nightingale defines success as, success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal. Let's break that down because every word matters.
Okay, first, progressive. What does that imply?
It means success isn't a destination you arrive at and then stop. It's a journey, a continuous process of growth and movement towards your goal. The goalpost might even shift as you grow, but you're always progressing.
Okay, not a static achievement, then realization.
This means it has to be felt internally. It's an experience. You can have all the external markers of success, money, fame, status. But if you don't feel successful, if it doesn't resonate internally, then by this definition, it isn't true success.
Internal validation over external. Got it. Next, worthy. This seems crucial.
Absolutely critical. Worthy ties success directly to your values, your ethics, your sense of purpose. Chasing a goal that violates your core principles might bring temporary gains, but it won't lead to that internal realization of success. It often leads to emptiness or regret. The goal itself must have meaning and integrity.
So the what matters as much as the how much. And finally, goal.
Goal simply provides the direction. Without a target, you're just drifting. A worthy goal gives your life focus, purpose, and a path to channel your energy and attitude.
So putting it all together, success is this ongoing journey of experiencing internal fulfillment as you move towards a meaningful, value-aligned objective.
Yeah.
That feels much more holistic and, well, progressive than just hitting a number.
It is. It ensures the pursuit of achievement is also the pursuit of meaning. But, and this is a huge but, this pursuit requires balance. The book shares a really sobering story.
The one about the wealthiest men.
Yes. In 1923, a group of 8 of the world's wealthiest men met. People like Charles Schwab, head of the biggest steel company, Jesse Livermore, the legendary stock trader. Their combined wealth was enormous, more than the U.S. Treasury at the time. They were, by any conventional measure, pinnacles of success.
Okay, sounds like they knew how to make a living.
They absolutely did. But the book looks at what happened to them 25 years later. The results are chilling. Many died broke, some committed suicide, others went insane or were imprisoned.
That's shocking. What went wrong?
The conclusion drawn is stark. What they forgot was how to make a life. They mastered the game of wealth accumulation, but neglected health, relationships, peace of mind, ethical grounding. It's a powerful warning against defining success solely in financial or professional terms.
A real cautionary tale for today's hustle culture where burnout is sometimes worn as a badge of honor.
Exactly. You can end up with everything the world says you should want, only to find you've lost yourself, your family, your soul in the process. The takeaway for the next generation is crystal clear. Genuine, sustainable success demands both quality and quantity time invested in relationships, community, and well-being. You can't just buy back lost time or broken trust.
Presence matters more than presence.
Yeah.
Okay, so assuming we're pursuing worthy goals with balance, how do we actually achieve excellence? Does it require some superhuman leap?
Not usually. The concept here is the winning edge. Success often isn't about being dramatically, overwhelmingly better, like 10 times better. It's frequently about being just slightly better, performing just a little more consistently, being better by a nose, as they say in horse racing.
But the rewards for that small edge can be disproportionately huge, right?
Exponentially higher. First place might get a much bigger prize than second, even if the performance difference was tiny. The practical implication for listeners is incredibly empowering.
How so?
You don't need to feel paralyzed by the thought of having to improve, say, 1,000% in one giant area. That's daunting. It's far more achievable and ultimately more effective to aim for improving 1% in 1,000 different areas.
The principle of marginal gains. Small, consistent improvements across the board.
Exactly. Apply to your skills, your habits, your character, your relationships. Those tiny, daily 1% improvements compound over time. They build momentum and create an advantage that becomes very hard to beat. It makes excellence feel accessible.
But that improvement, even 1% at a time, often involves some discomfort, some effort, some struggle, right?
Absolutely. And Khera argues that struggle isn't just unavoidable, it's actually necessary for building strength. The butterfly story illustrates this beautifully.
The biology class.
Yes. The teacher shows the students a cocoon with a butterfly starting to emerge. It's struggling, pushing, working hard to get out of the tiny opening. The teacher warns the students, whatever you do, don't help the butterfly.
Why not? Isn't that compassionate?
It seems compassionate, but the teacher explains that the struggle itself is vital. The effort of squeezing through that small hole forces fluid from the butterfly's body into its wings. That process strengthens the wings, preparing them for flight.
Okay, so the struggle builds capacity. What happens if someone helps?
Well, in this story, one student feels bad for the struggling butterfly and carefully snips the cocoon open to make it easy. The butterfly emerges effortlessly, but its wings are shriveled and weak. It can't fly, and it dies soon after.
Wow, the help actually crippled it.
It did. The life principle is unavoidable. Nothing worthwhile in life comes without a struggle. Overcoming challenges builds resilience, strength, character. And often parents, mentors, even society, in trying to protect people from hardship, inadvertently prevent them from developing the very strengths they need to thrive. We rob them of their strengthening process.
That's a tough balance, wanting to help but knowing struggle is necessary. The strength, built through struggle, it fuels persistence, doesn't it? Especially when facing rejection.
Definitely. Look at the iconic stories. Colonel Sanders, living on Social Security at 65. He supposedly got rejected over 1,000 times before someone finally took a chance on his fried chicken recipe. Imagine the persistence needed for that.
1,000 doors slammed. Incredible.
Oh, Walt Disney. Told by editors he lacked talent, he didn't give up. He was working in a grim, mouse-infested shed when he got the inspiration for Mickey Mouse. Rejection became fuel.
And Thomas Edison, his story is amazing too, especially the role his mother played.
Oh, absolutely. Sent home from school with a note saying he was too stupid to learn. Imagine how crushing that could be. But his mother refused to accept it. She declared, "My Tommy is not stupid to learn. I will teach him myself."
Her belief was unwavering.
And that belief, that conviction instilled in him, surely fueled his legendary persistence through thousands of failed experiments with the light bulb. It echoes that poem Khera quotes, "If you think you are beaten, you are. Success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind."
Your internal belief system dictates your actions and your staying power, which leads to a choice and approach. Are you playing to win or playing not to lose?
A crucial distinction. Playing to win comes from a place of inspiration, enthusiasm, commitment. It's proactive, focused on achieving the best possible outcome. Playing not to lose comes from desperation, fear, scarcity. The focus is purely on avoiding failure, which is inherently limiting and defensive.
One is about striving for excellence, the other about settling for not failing.
Precisely. And as the legendary coach Vince Lombardi said, the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. That commitment, that playing to win spirit, defines the quality of the experience and often the outcome. Excellence becomes a habit, not just an occasional act.
And underpinning all of this striving and commitment is responsibility, taking ownership.
Yes. True victory, sustainable success, requires a deep commitment to personal responsibility and self-sufficiency. This isn't just about individual gain. It's crucial for building strong, resilient, progressive communities. Abraham Lincoln had some incredibly relevant words on this.
What did Lincoln say? It feels very timely.
He cautioned, You cannot bring about prosperity by discouraging thrift. You cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. You cannot help men permanently by doing for them what they could and should do for themselves.
That's a call for empowerment, not perpetual dependency. It's about fostering capability and dignity.
Exactly. Responsible people take ownership. They don't make excuses or wait for handouts. They proactively look for solutions. And critically, when they make mistakes, because everyone pursuing big goals will make mistakes, they handle them constructively.
How so?
They admit the mistake quickly and honestly. They analyze it to learn the lesson. They make sure not to repeat it. And importantly, they don't waste energy blaming others or circumstances. They take responsibility. As the saying goes, anyone can make a mistake, but only a fool makes the same mistake twice.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the internal landscape: attitude, education, drive, responsibility. Now, how does this translate outwards? How do these principles shape our interactions with others, which is fundamental for building that better, progressive world?
The core principle here is simple but profound. Life is an echo. We get back what we give. Whatever you send out into the world, positivity, negativity, integrity, deceit, tends to find its way back to you.
Like shouting into a valley.
Exactly that image. Shout, "I hate you," and "I hate you" echoes back. Shout, "I love you," and "I love you" returns. Our relationships, our communities, they often mirror our own dominant thoughts and actions with surprising fidelity. If you consistently act with kindness and integrity, you tend to attract and build relationships based on those same values.
Is there a story that illustrates this echo principle in action?
A truly remarkable one. The Paderewski-Hoover story. Ignacy Paderewski, the famous Polish pianist and composer, long before he became Prime Minister of Poland, was once a struggling musician in California. He put on a concert, but it wasn't well attended. 2 Stanford University students had organized it and couldn't cover his fee.
Oh, awkward. What did Paderewski do?
Instead of getting angry, he was incredibly gracious. He tore up the IOUs, told them to deduct their expenses, pay themselves for their time, and just give them whatever was left, if anything. He showed kindness and understanding when he could have been demanding.
I was generous. Did it echo back?
Years later, massively. World War I devastates Poland. Paderewski is now the prime minister, and his nation is facing widespread starvation. He needs huge amounts of food relief. He appeals to the U.S. Food and Relief Administration.
And who was running that?
None other than Herbert Hoover, who later became U.S. president. Hoover immediately recognized the name Paderewski. He was one of those 2 Stanford students years ago.
No way.
Yes. Hoover ensured that tons of food were shipped to Poland, essentially saving the nation. When Paderewski later met Hoover to thank him, Hoover reportedly said something like, "That's all right, Mr. Prime Minister. Besides, you don't remember it, but you had me once when I was a student." The kindness echoed back on a national scale.
That's incredible. It really reinforces Emerson's idea, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "It is one of the most beautiful compensations of life that no man can sincerely try to help another without helping himself. Goodness creates ripples, often unseen, that eventually return."
It also implies that we see the world through the lens of our own character. As Khera says, you see the world not as it is, but the way you are.
Precisely. If your internal landscape is dominated by cynicism and suspicion, you'll find reasons to be cynical and suspicious everywhere. If it's grounded in trust and integrity, you'll tend to find and cultivate trustworthy relationships. This perception directly shapes how we interact.
Which logically leads to the win-win principle. This feels like the only sustainable model for relationships and community building.
It really is. Anything else, win, lose, 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 eventually breaks down. The heaven-hell analogy paints this picture perfectly.
How does that one go?
Okay, imagine a visitor gets a tour of hell. They see banquet tables laden with incredible food. But the people around the tables are miserable, starving, gaunt. Why? Because they each have 4-foot-long forks strapped to their arms, making it impossible to get the food to their own mouths.
Ah, so they can reach the food but can't feed themselves. Torture.
Exactly. Then the visitor goes to heaven and sees the exact same setup. Same tables, same delicious food, same 4-foot forks strapped to everyone's arms. But here, people are happy, laughing, well-fed, and enjoying the feast.
What's the difference? How are they eating?
They're feeding each other across the table.
Ah, simple, brilliant. The only way to eat is by cooperating, by serving someone else.
That's the essence of win-win. True, sustainable success comes when your focus is on serving others, your customers, your family, your team members, your community. By ensuring they win, by meeting their needs, you automatically create a situation where you win too. It's collaborative, not adversarial.
But that collaborative spirit can be easily undermined by greed.
Oh, absolutely. Khera calls greed a cancer. It eats away at relationships, ethics, and peace of mind. The story of the farmer offered land illustrates this danger.
The one who could have all the land he could walk around.
That's the one. A landowner offers a farmer all the land he can walk around in a single day, from sunrise to sunset, with one condition. He must be back at the starting point by sundown, or he gets nothing.
Okay, a test of endurance and judgment.
Right. The farmer starts running, wanting to claim as much land as possible. He goes further and further, pushing himself, ignoring his fatigue, always wanting just a little bit more territory. He finally turns back, realizing time is running out, and sprints towards the finish line as the sun dips below the horizon.
Does he make it?
He collapses and dies of exhaustion just yards from the starting point. He pushed himself too hard, driven by insatiable greed. And in the end, how much land did he actually need?
Just enough to be buried in a tiny plot.
Exactly. A tragic outcome, driven by the inability to say enough. Greed clouds judgment and can destroy everything.
So how do we guard against that? How do we know when enough is enough?
The book offers 3 practical questions to ask yourself before making a significant acquisition or pursuing more. First, can I afford it? Not just financially, but emotionally, ethically. Second, do I really need it, or is it just a want driven by ego or comparison? And third, crucially, will it give me peace of mind, or will the pursuit or possession of it actually create more stress and anxiety?
Those are grounding questions, focusing on need and peace of mind, not just desire and affordability. That feels like a recipe for contentment, not endless chasing.
Contentment is a key part of a dignified life. And alongside contentment, as we achieve things, comes the need for humility. Success can easily inflate the ego if we're not careful.
The George Washington story comes to mind here.
Yes, a great example of leadership humility. Washington apparently came across a small group of soldiers struggling intensely to lift a heavy log or beam into place. Their corporal was standing nearby, just shouting orders and criticizing their efforts.
Not exactly helping.
Not at all. Washington, dressed plainly, dismounted his horse and joined the soldiers, adding his strength until they finally got the log moved. He then turned to the corporal and said something like, "Why didn't you help your men?" The corporal, puffed up, replied, "Sir, I am the corporal."
Yeah, oh.
He didn't recognize Washington. Nope. Washington politely said, "Indeed. Well, next time your men need help with a heavy log, Corporal, you should send for the commander-in-chief." Then he mounted his horse and rode off, leaving the corporal stunned.
Wow. What a lesson in servant leadership and humility.
It really is. True strength doesn't need to boast. As Khera notes, success and humility go hand in hand. When others blow your horn, the sound goes further. Leaders who let success go to their heads often alienate people and find their success doesn't last. Your competence might get you to the top, but your character keeps you there.
Which brings us to commitment. This feels like the glue holding everything together, especially relationships and long-term goals.
It is. In a world that often feels unpredictable, commitment provides predictability. It's that promise, that dedication that allows trust to flourish, whether it's in a marriage, a team project, or pursuing a long-term vision.
But commitment to what, exactly? Just to people or organizations?
This is a critical distinction Khera makes, especially for building an ethical future. He argues our ultimate loyalty shouldn't be to specific individuals or institutions. We owe loyalties not to individuals or organizations, but to values.
So values come first. Explain that.
It means if a person you're committed to, a boss, a mentor, even a spouse, starts acting unethically, violating core principles like honesty or fairness, your deeper commitment must be to those values. You might need to challenge the person or even break the relationship to uphold your commitment to integrity. Values are the anchor.
That requires real moral clarity and courage. It makes ethics absolutely central.
Paramount. And we need to understand the difference between ethics and legality. Laws often just set the minimum standard of acceptable behavior. Ethics and values call us to aim much higher, to do what's right, not just what's legally permissible.
And ethical choices aren't just personal preferences, like choosing ice cream flavors.
No, Khera emphasizes their objective. There are right and wrong actions, grounded in principles like fairness, honesty, compassion. They aren't just subjective opinions. And the failure to teach this has real consequences.
Like the story of the teacher in New Jersey.
Yes, the Teaneck teacher. A student found $1,000 and returned it. The teacher, apparently worried about imposing personal views, refused to discuss the morality of the action or teach values. The result: when the situation was discussed in class, Every single student concluded the girl was a fool for returning the money.
That's horrifying. They saw doing the right thing as stupid because the teacher failed to provide a moral framework.
Exactly. It perfectly illustrates Muller's skill barbarian's point. Education devoid of ethical grounding can lead to a society where expediency trumps integrity. It's a crisis if doing good is seen as irrational.
Which leads us to the final crucial distinction in this section: winning versus being a winner.
Yes, they sound similar, but they're worlds apart. Winning is an event. It's crossing the finish line first, getting the contract, achieving a specific outcome. Being a winner is a spirit. It's about your character, your integrity, how you conduct yourself regardless of the outcome.
Can you give examples?
Ruben Gonzalez, the racquetball champion, he was in the world final, match point. His opponent hit a shot that the referee called out, giving Gonzalez the championship, but Gonzalez knew the shot had actually nicked the wall as good.
What did he do?
He overruled the ref, corrected the call against himself. He ended up losing the match, losing the championship title. When asked why, he simply said he needed to maintain my integrity. He lost the event, but he embodied the spirit of a winner.
He prioritized character over the trophy. Incredible. Another example.
The salesman rushing for a flight. He accidentally knocks over a blind girl's stall of fruit. He helps her pick it up, realizes she's blind, presses a bill into her hand, says this should cover the damages, and runs for his plane. He makes the flight, but then feels terrible, realizing she wouldn't know how much he gave her a plane. It could have been a $1 bill for all she knew.
Oh man, what did he do?
He got off the plane before takeoff, went back, found her, apologized, and gave her the correct, fair amount for the fruit. He missed his crucial flight, likely faced professional consequences, but he prioritized doing the right thing even when no one would have known.
That's being a winner. Integrity in the small things, even at personal cost.
Exactly. The core message is clear. It is far better to lose honorably, perhaps because you weren't quite prepared enough, a lack of skill, than it is to win dishonestly, revealing a lack of character. Your integrity is worth more than any single victory. That commitment defines the progressive achiever. So we arrive at the final section, which is really about synthesizing all these principles: attitude, values, commitment, win-win, into a mandate for actively building a better world. It starts with a fundamental question.
What does it actually mean to be good?
Right. We often hear defensive definitions, don't we? People say, well, I don't cheat on my taxes, or I don't steal, or I haven't killed anyone, so I'm a good person.
That's setting the bar pretty low. It's defining goodness by the absence of major wrongdoing.
Exactly. It's passive. Khera argues true goodness isn't about what you don't do. It's about what you do. A person becomes good when he actually does good. It requires positive action.
What kinds of actions?
Showing fairness, demonstrating compassion, acting with courage when needed, upholding integrity, showing empathy, practicing humility, being loyal to values, extending courtesy. It's an active, ongoing practice of contributing positively to the world around you, not just refraining from harming it.
It's a generative approach to morality. How do we guide these actions? Are there pitfalls to avoid?
Gandhi's framework of the 7 deadly sins, or 7 blunders of the world, is incredibly relevant here. They act as warning signs for societal decay, and they feel acutely modern.
Remind us what they are.
Wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character, commerce or business without morality or ethics, science without humanity, religion or worship without sacrifice, and politics without principle.
Wow. Each one of those is a potential landmine in today's world. Wealth from speculation, pleasure-seeking without regard for impact, knowledge used destructively, business purely for profit, tech without considering human cost, empty rituals, politics based on power, not principles.
Exactly. Avoiding these blunders, consciously choosing the opposite: earned wealth, conscious pleasure, ethical knowledge, moral commerce, humane science, meaningful sacrifice, principled politics that forms the blueprint for a healthy, progressive, dignified society.
And our individual role in this huge picture, sometimes the problem seems so big, it's easy to feel like our small actions don't matter.
That's where the starfish analogy comes in. It counters that feeling of helplessness perfectly.
The person on the beach after the storm.
Yes. A man is walking along the beach where thousands upon thousands of starfish have been washed ashore and are dying in the sun. He sees another person walking ahead, periodically bending down, picking up a starfish, and throwing it back into the ocean.
One by one, against thousands.
Right. The fool's man catches up and asks, why are you doing that? There are thousands of them. You can't possibly make a difference.
What does the starfish thrower say?
He bends down, picks up another starfish, throws it into the waves, and says simply, It makes a difference to this one.
Ugh, powerful. It reframes the scale. Don't be paralyzed by the enormity of the problem. Focus on the specific positive impact you can make right here, right now.
That's the progressive implication exactly. We might not be able to solve global poverty or climate change single-handedly. But if everyone listening commits to making a tangible difference for one person, one community issue, one environmental cause, if we all throw our starfish back, the collective impact becomes enormous. Small, consistent actions aggregate into big change.
It shifts the focus from overwhelming problems to manageable actions and individual responsibility. This connects to the idea of legacy, doesn't it? Building something for those who come after us.
Beautifully captured in Will Allen Dromgool's poem, The Bridge Builder. It's about an old man who successfully crosses a deep, dangerous chasm late in the evening.
He made it across safely. But then what?
But instead of continuing his journey, he turns back and starts building a bridge over the chasm he just crossed. A fellow traveler asks him, "Old man, why waste your strength building here? Your journey is done. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build you the bridge at eventide?"
Yeah, why build a bridge you'll never use yourself?
The old builder lifts his head and explains. He says, essentially, "Good friend, in the path I have come, there followeth after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm that has been not to me, to that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I am building the bridge for him."
Oh, wow. Chills. He's building it purely for the next generation, for those who haven't faced that specific challenge yet but will. That's the ultimate expression of responsibility and foresight.
It is. It's the progressive mandate. Our work, our learning, our struggles, they aren't just for us. They are also to build the foundations, the understanding, the bridges that make the journey safer, better, more possible for those who follow. That's the essence of cultivating people.
Which ties into that final quote about vision.
Yes, the Oriental saying. It perfectly encapsulates the long-term perspective needed. Where the vision is 1 year, cultivate flowers. Where the vision is 10 years, cultivate trees. Where the vision is eternity, cultivate people. Our most important, most lasting work is investing in human potential and character. #tag outro.
Wow. What an incredibly rich and honestly empowering deep dive. This isn't just about winning in a superficial sense. It's a blueprint for building a life and contributing to a world that has real substance based on integrity, character, and service.
Absolutely. It's about shifting the focus from just doing different things to doing things differently with the right attitude, strong values, unwavering commitment, and that dedication to continuous learning and sharpening the axe. And perhaps a final thought to leave you with, something to really mull over.
Yeah.
It comes from a story about a boy saved from drowning.
Okay.
When the boy, safe on shore, thanked his rescuer profusely, the man looked him squarely in the eyes and said, "Son, make sure when you grow up that your life was worth saving."
Oof. That's a profound challenge, isn't it? Live a life worthy of the chances you've been given, a life of contribution and meaning. That's the legacy piece.
It is. It connects everything back to responsibility and impact.
The principles we've discussed today, drawn from You Can Win, but framed for a progressive future, they aren't theoretical. They're applicable now to your choices today, your interactions tomorrow, the career you build, the person you become. This is your framework for doing things differently.
And if you want to continue diving deeper into these ideas, exploring how to build character, contribute meaningfully, and work towards that better world, we absolutely invite you to connect further.
Yes, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, Vipra's Movement. Let's keep this important conversation going. Let's actively participate in making this world a genuinely better place for everyone, a place where we can all live healthy, happy, and truly dignified lives.
Couldn't agree more. Let's build those bridges together.
So as we sign off from this deep dive, keep that core mantra in mind. Always remember.
Winners don't do different things.
They do things differently. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.